If you're a floor installer, you know the pain. You've laid the perfect floating floor, looks great, feels solid, until it's time to wreck it by locking it down with trims and silicone. That's where things get tricky. Finishing trims should be the easy part, right? But between movement, alignment, inconsistent surfaces, it often turns into a frustrating, time-wasting battle. So imagine a system that takes the guesswork out. No more fighting with trims, wasted material, and last minute running around to find more product. No more failed floors, just clean lines, solid finishes, and pro-level results every time. The team at Supertrim has just dropped something new, and it's about to change the game for flooring pros everywhere. Get ready to install faster, cleaner, smarter. Supertrim's Clip System is here, and it's built for installers who want to raise the bar. Welcome back, Plank Squatters. We're back in the studio. We've got Supertrim founders with us. Welcome, John and Craig. I hear a rumor that you guys have got the next level, next elevation and system to support your lovely array of trims. We'd love to hear a little bit more about it, on how this can actually really solve quite a few problems for floating floors.
Thanks, Barry. Really appreciate your time. I think one thing that we find in the industry is we always appreciate feedback from the Plank Squad and what people are having challenges with. So we've come up with another solution for our trims. Historically, we've on how you attach it. So basically, some of our trims do have a peel and stick option that works really well with a floor type that is a glued installation. But you always need to be aware of what the flooring rules actually are and how you attach the trims. So secondly, to glue and silicone, what people traditionally use on site.
To lock their floors down.
We do have a dowel option, and that dowel option works in some of our trims. It fits into the underside of the trim and does give you some flexibility as to how that gets installed. The challenge with this option is not every installer might have a drill on site, and also you do not want to drill through any waterproofing, especially at an exterior door threshold.
Yeah, we've also found that when you do renovations and been a little bit of subsidence in the slab, and then you find that crack that runs around the peripheral of the room and right by that sliding door, and now you need to try and drill into that craziness. We don't like drilling. So we throw a lot of glue and silicone in there, and that just locks these floors down.
And a dowel like this, you need to apply the right quantity of dowels to hold that trim successfully in place. The other downside to a dowel system is that once it's in, that trim will only be, to remove that trim, you're actually going to break out the trim.
You're going to destroy the goods.
Yeah. So you can't reuse it once this is in place. So we've come up with what's essentially a three-part system. First of all, being a Supertrim aluminium profile, and then a S-clip or Supertrim clip and Supertrim rail.
Okay.
So the idea behind this really came about on using it on exterior door thresholds mainly, but you can also use it for reducers and also T's in our range. And then we wanted to make it universal. So don't often know what floor thickness you're working with. So today you're working with a SPC, tomorrow you're working with an 8mm laminate, the next day a 10mm laminate, the next day a 15mm engineered.
Correct.
So if you have one base rail and one clip system that you can adjust on site to the different thicknesses that you're faced with on site, you're not running to us every day to get stock of the one you need for the top profile that you're actually installing.
So a nice universal system.
Yeah. So you can see on the, well, have a look there. You'll see on the little clip, you've got different segments where you would actually cut off depending on the height that you want to work to.
Oh, that's clever.
Yeah. So it's preset. It's currently set for a 15mm high floor.
Yeah.
And then it'll be adjusted down to a 12, an 8, and an SPC. So, for example, there cut down to an SBC height.
All right, so we can just cut this with our normal Stanley blade and just pop them off.
Yeah, look, we've Stanley blade is a bit of a challenge, so we've actually going to supply clients with a bit of a jig, because to hold the trim in place effectively, we work out that you need to put one of these clips every 10 centimeters. Okay, and so you've got to cut quite a few of them when you're doing a 2.7 meter length.
Yep.
So a jig like this, you just load them all, put it in your drop saw, and cut through them, and you're going to do 8 or 9 at a time. So it's loaded 3 times.
Speed up the process, optimize time. I like that. So this is a thought out system.
But also you get consistency with the cut.
Yeah. So with the Stanley, you would go a little bit skew and cockeyed, potentially, where this is like really even and really uniform.
Yeah. And again, what we all about with our range is to make the trims part of the discussion and part of the planning process in your site. So by going on site, assessing the site, making sure all your exterior thresholds are clear, there's no plaster sticking out in your way, nothing that needs to be chipped back. These days, most people are doing self-leveling screeds. So you're probably installing this base, the black part here, at the point that you're doing your self-leveling screed.
So you would glue that in place first, and then you do a self-leveler screed up to that, potentially either up to it or running over this front flange.
All depends on how you're going to adjust on site. So
depending on the floor type.
And that's the thing. It needs to be universal to deal with all those slight differences that you might face on the site.
Yeah,
I hear you.
I wouldn't put screed on top. It's going to crack and peel.
Okay, so this would be butting up to it, or after the self-leveler is done, and then you would fix it on top.
Yeah.
But this is bonded in place. So this is part of your pre-site prep. And understanding which trim is going to go where, a reducer, a T expansion, an end cap, etc., etc.
Correct. So the nice thing about that is obviously you're going to let your screed dry. You maybe not have delivered the top trim to site until after everything's been installed. And
you've reached your finishing point.
Yeah.
Yes.
Were you doing skirtings and other trimming, then you would look at having those delivered to site rather than getting
damaged on site or lost, or light fingers walk them away.
Yeah. So hopefully cutting down some wastage from that perspective. And then also adding to your professionalism. On a Friday afternoon when you're finishing up on site, the client doesn't really want to see you running around looking for how many lengths of trim you're missing. You already know the quantity you're needing. You're not having to find bricks from the garden to weigh down the glue. You're just putting in the clip and you clicking it in place.
You know, how often I see job sites where we're actually trying to weight these trims down because we are bucking the system using silicones and glues, and we've maybe got a little bit of a belly in that threshold, and now we've got to try and push it down because everybody likes a tight trim, you know. So
I think what John's also alluding to is obviously if you're using 3 lengths of base, the chances are you're going to need 3 lengths of trim. So,
gotcha.
So you've effectively worked out the amount of trim you're going to need when you put the base in.
Got you.
So you know up front. Yeah.
And that's also that the guys who are installing the planks, they know exactly what they're installing to because the base plates are already in situ, and they're not going to overshoot or undershoot. That's all preset.
It's bringing all the work forward. Rather do all this prep work when you're doing the other prep work. So you're prepping for your trims early on. Why not?
Well, that is true plank squatters professionalism. So we love being prepared. All right, cool. So how does this system actually click together in situ? We've got a little bit of a mock-up over here, and there is a bit of a staged process.
Yeah, so for example, well, just first to go through how the range has actually worked, we do have some new end caps coming for different thicknesses. This is typically for an SBC thickness, 5 mils. That's an 8 mil laminate. And then we also have it for different reducers that we've used it on, and T's. So you can see how flexible the trims actually become with some of those. There are some tricks that installers will learn as they go through it. For example, just making angles on the cutting. So if you've got a reducer, obviously that angle clip is going to work better on how your reducer clips into the trim.
Yes.
Okay.
But that's all part of your handover training, etc.
Exactly.
Okay.
And then, so what you would expect to do, and we've got it as a mock-up here, if you can picture that being the base of your sliding door or your exterior door.
Yep.
The trim comes up to that base. We've actually got a spacer here on this trim so that you would put that straight up against
I would say it's a guide
a guide.
because there's no one plan fits all. So it's a guide.
So
You need to make sure that you're not too far off or too close.
Yes.
So it's always handy to check with
Yeah.
a piece of trim.
So that front, I call it a rail or guide, is actually also setting the depth for your back channel that this back piece of the trim will actually lie in.
correct.
So that there's a methodology and a science behind
Yeah.
why we have that back rail versus the front face.
So then, obviously, you've put in your base. Depending on the floor type that you're using, if you're using a laminate, you might be using a nice 2mm EVA from Superior Underlay. So you'd put that underlay in place, and then what we suggest is use some waterproof tape. So tape that underlay onto that base or Supertrim base rail, and you've essentially got a very nice water resistant threshold at that point.
So when we take the waterproof tape and we actually seal our underlay to this threshold, we're actually meeting industry standard guidelines of sometimes we have the opportunity to run the moisture barrier up the wall,
Yeah.
but we don't have that opportunity when we're running to these aluminium thresholds.
Yeah.
So that's where we're actually putting the extra safeguard in that moisture can't travel underneath our underlay
Yeah,
and impact the floor.
I think ultimately you are relying on the waterproofing of the aluminium window. So that's the first defense, and hopefully that's in place.
Okay, yeah.
So, give them the responsibility where it is their responsibility. This is secondary precaution.
Absolutely.
And doing it right, if anybody questions that you haven't done it to the right standard, you can say, look, I've taken all the steps that I should take. How can I be at fault here?
No, well, in true plank squatter fashion, we always want to deliver the best possible service for longevity.
Yeah.
And that is a cool system. That's something that my team's going to start employing straight away.
Also, another photo opportunity. When you're doing all your moisture readings, you can take a photo of your tape in place.
That sounds like a great idea.
And then if you do, by any chance, have issues with the floor, say you've got a floor that's expanded a lot, in our background of the flooring industry, we always understand what is the ultimate cause of why that floor might be expanding or contracting.
Understood.
But it's nice to be able to remove the clip or the whole trim with the clip.
And be able to service either the sliding door track or cut back the floor accordingly, and you
Exactly.
haven't compromised the trim.
Yeah, if you do it nice and carefully, you're not going to compromise this. You're there on the same day. You don't have to, again, go buy a new top product, being our aluminium, and then you can just click it all back in place. Okay.
That is really, really smart. I love the capability of the floor being able to expand and contract. We always want to have our trims in nice and tight. That's a serviceable system. And I think it's going to add a huge amount of value to our localized flooring industry.
Yeah, I think we look forward to the feedback. I think we've worked hard on it for a long time. So it's been a challenge for us to actually get to this point and trialing a lot of different things and patenting along the way. But we look forward to, we think it's a no-brainer as to what clients can do with it. And again, it just gives you another solution. So, what do you as a professional need on site? Do you need to glue? Do you need to use the dowel? Do you need to use the base track? There's everything at your disposal to ensure that you have a successful outcome. And at the end of the day, another happy client and hopefully a referral job after that.
And that's what we love as plank squatters, aspiring for true flooring excellence. We look forward to the future Supertrim inventions coming our way, but I can say that with our teams, we absolutely love Supertrim. It's versatile, And some of those colors are so sexy and so astute. To finish off our floors with a Supertrim trim is definitely the way to go. Thank you so much for joining us in the studio, and we look forward to your next invention.
Thank you.
As soon as it lands, and you must come and tell us all about it. So thank you, Plank Squatters. If you want to know anything more about the flooring industry here in South Africa, please subscribe, hit the bell, do all that good stuff, or share the video, share the love.